Minecraft is a huge game, not only in how much content it has, but also in its community and variety. A block game that anyone can pick up and enjoy, but equally a game with many misconceptions and mysteries. Because of Minecraft's large community and constant updates, it always seems that compared to other games, Minecraft is full of the weirdest bugs and glitches. Some are so popular they eventually become features, while others are so detrimental to the gameplay they need an entire update just to get patched. But there are a few Minecraft quirks that just seem to baffle people, which is so strange that many have their own different ideas of what they think is going on. One of the most famous misunderstood glitches being zero-tick pistons, with lots of players thinking it had been removed in 1.16 when zero-tick farms were patched. To those people I say, you're dumb. But today I hope to finally give a proper explanation to one of Minecraft's oldest bugs. This bug is so old that there's been an attempt to fix it in almost every single update. A bug that makes Minecraft blocks that don't exist. Now, before we dive into an explanation of what a ghost block is, we need to know what a ghost block isn't. A lot of you, when hearing the term ghost block, might immediately think of something else, Block 36. While they share similarities like, yeah, they don't really share that many similarities. Block 36 is not a bug and is an intentional feature of the game and part of the Pistons extension process. The term ghost block doesn't come because the block in question was invisible, but because ghost blocks technically don't exist. Here's a very common example of these ghost blocks in action. If you've ever played a large server like Hypixel and played a game like Bed Wars with fireballs and TNT destroying large amount of blocks, you've probably been in the annoying situation where you've been stuck in a ghost block, and the only way to free yourself was to spam right click and hope that the block you were standing on would appear. But why does this happen? Well, the whole reason that ghost block existed in the first place is that there was a desynchronization between you, the player, or the server's client, and Hypixel, or the server you are connected to. In our Bed Wars example, the server says,
"Hey, there should be a block there. The player shouldn't be able to move through the block."
But the client says,
"Hey, wow, there isn't a block here. I should be able to walk through. The player should be able to walk through."
The jitter motion can be blamed on the server and the client basically playing tug of war on who has the right information. When you spam right click to update the blocks, you make the client realize,
wait, there were blocks here the whole time?
And then you're able to break free. This is an example of a block only existing on the server but not the client, and the less useful and more annoying kind of ghost block you can get. But what happens when you do the opposite? What if the block only existed on your client but not the rest of the server? So you see this wall, a very normal looking wall, right?
Yep,
Very
looks
normal.
like
I can't run into this wall.
Looks pretty abstract.
Yeah, I can't get the horse in the wall.
Yeah, makes sense. There's a wall there.
I have some other things to test for walls, so we'll grab my wall testing materials, you know? As normal walls, you're able to throw pearls through the walls, and if I want that villager to come over, I can. That's just a thing that you're able to do with walls, you know?
No, it's not. That's not a normal thing
This-
to do with walls.
You can get a zombie to come, and... oh, and he came through the wall. I
Holy
don't...
crap,
you
there's
know...
no clip through.
Oh, there's a pig through the wall. You know, but I thought this was a normal wall, you know? Like, it's a completely normal wall.
Wait, what?
Right?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
So, Misty Cat, this is a wall.
Quite smooth, a little bit quartzy.
It's a very legit wall. He is just vibing. Look at him go. And, you know, I can summon him through this wall. That's a normal wall thing to do, for sure. I have other normal wall things over here. For example, I can throw my ender pearl across this wall.
Nice, you'd love to see it.
Because I don't like the wall.
It's a bit in the way there, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cringe wall. Oh my god, where'd the wall go? Where'd it go?
Probably off to get milk like my dad.
Crafty Masterman, what the heck is happening here?
Well, these are still ghost blocks, and still the product of the client and the server not being quite in sync. In this case, the client says,
Whoa, look at this sick block over here.
while the server is totally oblivious to what's going on and thinks there isn't a block in that position. Unlike the other version of the ghost block, these don't conflict with the player and you don't get that annoying jittery motion. But it does have some funky properties with other entities like minecarts, projectiles, items, and mobs. If you do make these ghost blocks on a multiplayer server, other players that weren't around the area when the ghost blocks were generated will just see a floating player on invisible blocks. And since the server thinks you shouldn't be flying, if there are anti-cheats on it, there's a chance you can be kicked, if not banned. But the best part about these ghost blocks is how they update. Pushing ghost blocks with pistons, you can replace an entire wall, and right-clicking it will make the blocks change to their original state, meaning that with enough creativity, you can make an interactive touchscreen. So let's see what I've made. First off, we have Battleship. With screens on either side, players replace the blocks where they want their ships to be, and once they are hidden, they take turns right-clicking positions on the board to try and expose the enemy ships. Next up, we have Minesweeper. Similar to Battleship, the player right-clicks spots on the board to slowly reveal the location of the bomb. If they see a leaf, a log is placed to expose all the other squares with nothing on them. And then we also have Tic-Tac-Toe and Hangman, which still have these same right-clicking interfaces. Pulling away all the fancy decoration, this is what the redstone looks like. So how does it actually work? Special thanks to Spacewalker for all of the Ghost Block nerdy knowledge. His channel will be in the description if you want to check him out. So let's start with a fun fact. Even if you play on a single player world, your Minecraft game still runs an internal server. Both your server and your client have a copy of your world, with the server basically doing all the heavy lifting, while your client is just kinda chilling, waiting to receive any information. However, some things the client does process are player controls, rendering, interactions with the world, and piston. The server decides when the pistons should push, whether it's given power with redstone, or maybe it can't push if there are immovable objects in front of it. But both the server and the client process the pistons, push, and pull logic. Each tick, the server does dozens of different processes and checks, but there are 3 that matter to this specific ghost block generator. Tick chunks, which includes many different things, but the only part we care about is where it sends block changes to the player. Execute scheduled block ticks, which in this case controls the dispenser placing and scooping the powdered snow. And process block events, which is the pistons extending and retracting. In 1.17, these 3 events were placed in this order. First we get tick chunks, which won't do anything since neither the piston or the dispenser have been powered. Execute scheduled block ticks comes next, which means the dispenser will now scoop up the powdered snow. But guess what? The client is a lazy bum and doesn't realize that until tick chunks occurs again the next time this loops. And finally, process block events happens, which extends the piston. On the server, the piston has nothing in front of it and it just pushes air, but the client doesn't know that yet, and the piston pushes an exclusively client-sided powdered snow block, as well as pushing any other blocks in front of it. They fixed it. So let's go through the loop again and see how this change fixed the ghost block issue. First, we get execute scheduled block ticks. The dispenser scoops up the powdered snow. Now we get tick chunks, which will send the information to the client that the powdered snow had been removed. And finally, process block events will happen, extending the piston, which now has air on both the client and the server, preventing a ghost block from being generated. TLDR, they switch 2 lines of code. Subscribe!